Good evening, and welcome to WANA Live, the reading series of the Writers Association of Northern Appalachia. I'm your host, Damian Dressick, and your other host is a bit under the weather this evening, so I'll be flying solo. I tried to get Reese the dog to co-host. He's in the kitchen eating a sock, so unable to help here. We have a new guest this evening, somebody who's just brand new to the show. We have Silas Maxwell Switzer, is a queer poet, a scholar, and he's also finishing up studies at the University of Pittsburgh. In 2023, he published a chapbook of documentary poetry studying the AIDS crisis in Pittsburgh, titled Nine Parts Water, One Part Bleach. His writing appeared in Lunch Ticket. He's born and raised in Pittsburgh, and his work explores topics of queer feeling, queer cross-generational connection, and queer history, frequently in relation to his hometown of Pittsburgh. So I'm going to bring Silas out here. Good
Hey,
evening.
thanks for having me.
Good that you can make time to be on the show. So you are going to be reading, I believe you said, from a little bit from your chapbook, and then maybe some new stuff as well, right?
Yep, that's right.
All right, super cool. I'm going to get off and let you get to it.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna read a couple poems from my chapbook, and then I'm gonna read something from the new thing I'm working on. Um, so my for a little bit of context, my chapbook was kind of my attempt to understand the AIDS crisis in Pittsburgh. It's a really it's a topic that there's not many people left around to talk about, and it's really important to me as a young queer person to have some grasp on what that was and what it was like. So that's where this book came from. This is one of the first poems in the book. I do this every day. Wonder whether my adamant dedication is worth its cost, whether I might live another day alone. Count the steps to the kitchen, count the marks on my skin, compare the two, hope for the triumph of the former so that I might live another day alone. I do this every day. Wonder whether the adamant dedication is worth its cost, whether I might live another day alone. I do this every day. Ask myself, which is going faster, your body or your mind? My mind responds, your body, and it will not elaborate. I do this every day. Count the steps to the kitchen, count the marks on my skin, compare the two, hope for the triumph. I do this every day. Wonder whether my relic is worth its cost, whether I might live another day. So, as you've probably made note, this is not necessarily the most positive chapbook out there, but it felt really important to me to, not pull any punches for this one. So this next poem is called Beautiful Thing. To know. My love, the way your lips move, my inability to watch you falter is my own. Steady my shaking hands. Beg you to sit on the green velvet couch. Fall to your knees beneath the window as the sun rises and our living room becomes a makeshift chapel, and I vowed to never leave, but, darling, to know the inevitability that you will forget me someday soon. Steady my shaking hands. Beg you to stay just a few more moments. Lay your head on my chest. Watch the sun set. And so that was 2-3 years of my life in the making there. But what I'm working on right now is actually a piece of, or well, a bunch of pieces of short prose put together. It's called Matter, and it's about an open mic that I ran when I was a teenager for queer youth in the Pittsburgh area. And all of the prose are little short snippets, stories from the open mic. So I'm going to read one of those. Performers were always nervous. In 3 years, I don't think I saw anyone who seemed ready to be on stage. A polished performance was rare. That's what made our open mic so special. You could go up there with a poem that you wrote on the bus on the way there, and we'd hear it and clap louder than any conventional audience ever could. Queer people perform every day. We perform gender. We perform to fit in. We perform to keep ourselves safe. Some of us enjoy the day-to-day performance. Some of us only partake because we have to. Either way, that performance is protection. It means that we don't have to worry as much about the way we'll be treated. The danger is more real than I think most people realize. It's not just getting called slurs or being physically attacked. It's getting turned down for a job because your presentation doesn't conform to a particular gender. It's having to explain concepts of queerness to your friends over and over. Important, but exhausting. Only for them to still not understand. It means feeling isolated, boxed in, silenced, every day. Our performances were of a different kind. Getting up on that stage didn't protect you, it made you vulnerable. To be able to perform authentically, you had to shed the skin of everyday life and give in to your reality of self. The fact that people were willing to do that always amazed me. It made me believe that we were really creating a space that allowed for people to expose a more honest version of themselves. I remember one time we had a couple semi-regulars who came in occasionally from out of town. They were partners, C and L. L was tall and lanky, brown curly hair and a sharp jawline. C had a soft face, blue hair swept to the side of their head, and overalls covered with pins shouting queerness. They rarely performed. Sometimes C would read a poem, but neither ever wanted to perform music, even though L was a guitarist. He was too nervous to do it without C, and C was too nervous to sing. So when I got up to announce the next act and saw their names on the list followed by music in the "What are you performing?" column, it's safe to say I was excited. They got up together. L settled into the stool and picked up my guitar. C stood next to him. I remember that they both spent most of the song looking at each other, as if eye contact was the link that shared bravery between them. As they sang, it felt like they exposed, released everything. They got more confident as the song went on, L occasionally messing up a chord, C occasionally messing up a lyric. But it stopped mattering. They got up on that stage and gave us everything they had with complete and total honesty, including every messed up note. I'm sure they had lives to go back to that weren't nearly as freeing as getting to be up on our stage, but it felt good to know that at least for those 3 minutes, no matter how anxious they were, they got to be themselves. That this performance wasn't for protection, but instead for expression. That the space we created gave everyone, even the most withdrawn, a chance to put themselves on display and have it not be an act, even if it was a performance. That's all I got. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks, Silas. Thanks for coming on. I like that at the end there. Not an act, but it was a performance. I like that a lot. So tell me, I'm interested in the open mic for queer youth. How did you get started with that? What happened?
So my high school required everyone to do a project, an ephemeral project, as part of our graduation. You could literally do anything, just a project. And I came out when I was 15. and 14 maybe. And I had spent a few years at that point going to local events for queer youth. And a lot of the time they required adult supervision, or like parents were invited, or like something to that effect, that made it just like a really rough space to be in if you were a young queer person trying to express yourself. And so when I was given the opportunity to just kind of do a project, I was like, wait, okay, I can make a space for people who like have been stuck in the same situation that I've been in for all these years, that doesn't have those same issues. And being, having grown up around poetry and music and art, it naturally became an open mic. And so I ran one of those for my, school project, and that one had to be a little, couldn't allow curse words, et cetera, et cetera. But once we really got into it, after I was done with the school project, it became its own animal.
So I was gonna. Well, you mentioned that the sort of ephemerality. I was gonna ask: Is this still going on? Did you sort of pass the baton to someone, or?
So we ended up kind of closing up shop once COVID hit. Honestly, it really, we just weren't able to regain the momentum after that. So unfortunately, like, it was great while it lasted, and I don't regret any of it. But unfortunately, we are done.
No, well, I mean, I think COVID was challenging for a lot of arts related things that were live. That's actually how this show came to be. We were seeing a lot of writers who couldn't read, and a lot of people who wanted to hear people reading who couldn't go anywhere. So we thought maybe we could bring some art product to them. So you have a chapbook out from Main Street Rag.
Yes.
Okay, can we take a look?
Yeah.
All right. 9 parts water, 1 part bleach. It is an interesting. It's a very catchy title. Tell me what inspired that.
So a lot of this book. Okay, well, actually, let me back up a couple steps. So documentary poetry is the practice of combining, kind of research and poetry almost. It's you use actual like historical facts and documentation and stuff like that, and you also write poems, and you kind of squish those together into a thing. And so one of the major things I did with this book was I made a lot of use of the 1996 Pittsburgh AIDS Task Force Handbook for people living with HIV/AIDS. And that handbook had everything from how to clean your counters to how to arrange a burial. It was everything. It's about this thick. So I pored over that thing. I read through the entirety of it, and one thing that really, really stuck out to me for some strange reason was how serious and intense they were about keeping surfaces clean, and keeping spaces clean. And the recommendation for what to use as a cleaning product was a solution of 9 parts water and 1 part bleach. So it felt appropriate title-wise.
Cool. So we have a comment. I'm not sure. We sort of, I think, a sort of quasi pseudonym there. Worms, Healy. Sorry, my taxonomic in vermiform is a little sketchy. But you get some applause.
I'll take it.
All right, there you go. All right, thanks a lot, Silas, for making some time for us. Good luck with the new work. I like the prose stuff. I like writing about the open mic, the idea of working in a space that didn't protect you but made you vulnerable.
Yeah. Thank
All
you.
right, thanks a lot. And wait, we've got another comment there. Someone is saying they're excited for the prose book, so super eagerly awaiting public there.
It'll get there one day, hopefully.
All right. Well, have a good evening, and we will see you hopefully back at full strength next Thursday. Thanks a lot for tuning in, everybody.
Thanks.